fights this week? Oh man, we gotta have some fights.
How you doing over here? This is the last day of the league year, and you know how it goes.
Not the last day.
Well, I'm sorry. This is the last show of the league year. There we go.
There you go.
So I was trying to do all the shares on
our. You had 15, and the damn show hasn't started yet. Damn.
I know. I was like, bang, 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 bang. All right, let's see. Let's do. Hold on. Banners, and here we go. And welcome to the Cage Match, everybody. We're right here live. I am the Asylum and Raider Savage, and we have Asylum here in the building. It's just us two. This for the first time in like 3 weeks. It's crazy.
I know. You know, it was getting comfy there with having other people on and having to go through the pre-show, pre-check shit and everything else, and it's like, oh no, we know what we're doing.
Yeah,
at least the pre-show. By now we know what we're doing.
Alrighty, and now it's time for our favorite. It's time for our favorite. My God, let's start all over. Time out. Rewind. Get it back in order. Okay. Let's go into our favorite part of the favorite subject. There we go. The shameless plug.
Okay. Go to the YouTube channel, The Cage Match Show. Like, share, subscribe. You didn't put the thingy up. You're falling behind on that. Anyways, share, subscribe.
I was drinking my coffee. Hey.
Hit the bell. If you don't do YouTube for whatever reason, you go catch us on Facebook on Oakland Raider Savage's page, Oakland Raider Savage, or my page, Asylum. And you can catch us there and, like, share. And if you're into it or do it, give stars. And don't forget about Dubby.
And we got that right here. Boom, boom. Dubby.
WGG. In the promo code, put Cage Match, one word, and you'll get 10% off your whole order.
Yes. And when you think of when you think of dubs, wins. When you think of wins, you think of dub. But when you think of dub, you think of W. W.GG. Cage Match in the promo code. Get 10% off on your order. Discount. Thank you very much. All right, then, Asylum. This is the last week of the league year.
2023 year.
The 2023 league year. It was an interesting year. We've seen highs. We've seen lows. We started off lows. Then we went to highs. So it was crazy.
Hey, we're from Oakland. We like to be high.
Oh, boy. Hey, okay. Sorry, let me wake up. It's been a busy week. Okay. Now, yeah. And of course, when the new league starts on March 11th, which I found out is a Monday, I thought it was a Wednesday. I thought we were lucky going to have the show right at the start of New Year's League New Year, NFL League New Year. No, it's on the 11th, March 11th. Everyone that are potential free agents officially becomes free agents.
And then the legal tampering begins.
Legal tampering. That's kind of like open relationships. You are able to talk to whoever you want. I don't know. All right. These are going to be our upcoming free agents. We talked about this a little bit last week with Miss Peggy. We had a big debate last week with Miss Peggy and the Raider Man number 19 about Josh Jacobs. Huh?
I say, yeah, we had a big debate with that first one on the list.
I know.
Actually, that ended up being a 2-week debate, to be honest with you. Both times with Raider Man.
Well, you know, Josh Jacobs is Josh Jacobs drafted by the Raiders. He's one of the last few Oakland Raiders left. It's like him, Max Crosby, and Hunter Renfrow, I believe, right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Hunter Renfrow, yeah.
He was
a rookie. Yes. So I mean, and it's gonna be big talk. We're gonna see what happens on the 11th. What kind of offers? That's not. You don't really hear too much about the running back market. I mean, I know we heard that like Saquon Barkley. Yeah, I'm just messing up names left and right. He's not going to be back. Well, he's not going to be back, but they're not going to franchise tag him. A lot of guys that people thought were going to get franchise tagged were not franchise tagged because it costs a lot of money. Here are the rates of the franchise tag. As you can see, this is the 1-year deal or basically what the teams are going to be paying each for each position. These are what teams will be paying if they was to put a franchise tag on a player of each of these positions. This is hard.
And Josh Jacobs actually would have been $14 million for us. And I believe that's because he technically got franchise tagged last year. And if you do it 2 years in a row, it affects it you for more money the second year.
Yeah, that's like what they did, I believe, with the Washington, whatever the name we want to decide to call ourselves, Redskins, the football team, Commanders, Coloradians, what they did with Kirk Cousins a couple years back, where they had him twice. They franchised him twice, and then he ended up going to the Vikings. So, hey, it's expensive. This is based on what the top five contracts in the league. So they average it out, and this is how they come up with the numbers.
Yeah.
And running back 11.95. This is almost close to what Josh Jacobs was would have got last year. He would have got $12 million, but that was with the incentives.
He would have hit his incentives.
Yes. So with that, I mean,
if we're fits, we'd all be drunk.
Out of these guys, we're going to go real quick on this. Out of these guys, of our free agent Raiders, who on here do you want to prioritize them bringing back? This is on the offensive side.
Well, I think Meredith for sure. I like to bring Hooper back. Jacobs, if it's a team friendly, and like I made it clear before, if he's willing to go with running back by committee, not be the selfish, give me when it comes to the ball, then I'll put Jacobs on there. But I think there's plenty of, I'll just stick with those two are the ones that I definitely think we need to have done on the 11th.
I think I will say Jordan Meredith because he's young and he's like a restricted free agent. So I do see them bringing him back unless they just completely release him or he gets signed and they Raiders don't try to match. But out of these guys, I mean, Josh, yeah, I say Josh Jacobs if he can take a team friendly deal and we can work both him and Zeus into the offense, have a dual,
Dual threat, running back by committee.
running back by committee, a little lightning and thunder, which I don't know who would be lightning and who would be thunder. I feel like they're both kind of the same, just I think Amir's a little taller.
Amir? You mean Zeus?
I'm sorry, not Amir. I'm looking at Amir up here. I'm sorry, Zeus.
I would say their height's not on there.
My bad, bro. Huh?
I said their height's not on there. How can you tell?
Because he just looks taller, okay? Well, maybe, I don't know. Josh Jacobs is stocky, so I don't know.
And DeAndre Carter right there looks like he's lost.
Well, yeah,
Like
I don't see that. I see, prioritizing with the offensive free agents, I would just say out of all of them, Illuminor was off and on. He's a serviceable swing
for
tackle.
Depth. Same thing with Parker for depth.
I would say Greg Van Roten. He came on towards the end of the season. He was more consistent, and that probably could just be, different quarterback, different half of an offense. I don't know. But a lot of these guys, Brandon Parker was drafted by the Raiders, but he didn't get a lot of playing time. He was he cut twice, you said, last week?
No, he was cut last year and then came back.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was cut before that.
I would say out of this list, probably Josh Jacobs would probably be the only one that from the offense, from just this list alone. Because everybody else, Brandon Bolden is I don't want to say towards the end of his career, but 11 years in. This team wants to go younger.
He's a running back at 29 years old. Yeah, he's at the end of his career. Just like Josh Jacobs is at the end of his career.
Oh, wow. Did I put that? Did I make that right?
Let's
see. 11 to 18. Oh, I might have messed up on that graphic because that means he would have came into the league at 18. Well, probably should have been 31. I don't know. Okay, on the defensive side, we have basically all the starters. Bilal Nichols, Adam Butler, John Jenkins, except for Curtis Bolton. He barely came in to the he was like towards the end, like
when Diablo got hurt.
Yeah. Who would you prioritize in this list of our free agents on the defensive side?
Believe it or not, if you go back to the our third episode, whatever it was, when we were talking about making out of training camp, starters and everything, but I'd have to put Amik Robertson on that. He came out, I think he started showing what he's capable of this year. I like to keep. I don't know. I like Tyler Hall. I like Nichols. I like Butler. I like Jenkins. I know Paula Mao had 8 interception, but
yeah,
he didn't get used. He was in and out with what's his name? God damn it! Now I'm pulling you. I'm forgetting names.
What, safety?
No, cornerback.
Oh, Bennett?
No, Jacorian Bennett and the other one, Nate Hobbs.
Nate Hobbs
spent, a bunch of time on the injury reserve. Man, I can't believe I forgot that name. I know he's young and going, but I don't necessarily put him as a priority. If we're going priorities, I'll have to say, just because of rotations and how they kept, they started coming on, I'll go Nichols, Butler, Jenkins, and Amik.
I would say Amik. I would prioritize Amik. Um, and I would say Bilal Nichols. I'll say Bilal Nichols. But Adam Butler, I think which one was it that came from New England? Did Butler or Jenkins? Butler. Okay, yeah, Butler. I know they said he had said that if Butler said that if AP gets the job, he wouldn't mind taking a team friendly deal to stay and see how this train would roll now with the full season under AP. So I would say Amik, Bilal, and then Adam Butler. I can see him coming back. All right. But also, every time big news, someone gets released, especially quarterback, they always want to tie it to the Raiders. And
always tied to the fucking Raiders.
Last year, Aiden O'Connor was our starter, and AP did go on record in the combine saying that Aiden is our starter, and whoever we bring in will have to beat him out. Yes,
it's Aiden's job to lose.
Aiden's job to lose, and of course, we're talking either a veteran or a drafted quarterback, whenever round that is.
It'd be a rookie.
But the one new name, because he has been released, and you know who it is? Oh, Russell Wilson. Raider Nation, let's ride.
Jamarcus Jr.
Now, everyone, I mean, I don't want to say everyone, but all the talking heads out there, ESPN, NFL Network, they always want to tie, like you were saying off camera, they always want to tie everyone to the Raiders. And Russell Wilson has been in the discussion of people's predictions and who they think would be a good fit for the Raiders. Him, also if the Raiders trade for Fields. But now that he has been released, and look what the Broncos did. What did the Broncos give up for him? They gave up Drew Lock and like 5 other players.
They gave up 3 players and 4 draft picks.
And then they signed him, 5-year deal, $242.6 million. It didn't work out with the previous coach. Then Sean Payton comes in. He wasn't a big fan of Russell Wilson. They, fights on the sideline. He gets benched over Stidham. That sounds familiar, right? Gets benched for Stidham the last 2 games.
Why does that sound so familiar?
It's just like the Broncos want to be just like us because we owned them for the last 8 games. If you can't beat them.
Last 4 years. If you can't beat them, be like them.
So the Broncos, we're gonna have to pay for his $35.4 this coming year, $49.6 million the following year, of a total of $85 million.
Well, where's that number sound familiar too?
I mean, like I said, Broncos. I don't think that was a Elway pick because he was either let go or stepped down before this was made.
I think it was when they traded.
Whoever made this pick, whoever made this deal, this trade, he should be over there looking for a job right next to McDaniels because that was a horrible.
I think he is.
He's over there with So with that, can you see a Russell Wilson led Raider offense next season?
No, I don't see it. I mean, the only thing that's going to be in the advantage or to the advantage of anybody who's going to get Russell Wilson is the fact is they don't have to offer him much money. I mean, he's getting $85 million.
Yeah.
He's getting $85 million from the Broncos. So, I mean, somebody could offer him a smaller contract, and if it means a starting job, then he'll probably take it. I know he also has strong ties to, what was I just reading? It was
the Steelers,
and there was another fucking team. Maybe it was Vikings. I'm not sure, but I mean, there's so much drama, there's so much shit, and I know there's a lot of people who want him, but I just think he's too old. He's or getting too old. He's just not the same he was in Seattle. And I mean, fuck, we beat him. So we beat him with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, now let's. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna give a positive spin. Okay, picture this. Okay, Russell Wilson thought he was gonna go somewhere with the Broncos. Broncos didn't. First year that wasn't his fault. I forgot the guy's name. He's over there with the Jets now. The head coach, Hackett. That was Hackett. They say he's one of the worst offensive worst head coaches. We can beg to differ. We can say that was
I was going to say
McDaniels.
we can beg to differ.
Yeah, but
why don't you beg to differ too? They had McDaniels first.
I don't know. Donkeys and jackasses. I don't know. So now Sean Payton comes in, highly regarded Super Bowl winning quarterback, blah, 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 with the Saints. He comes in, he goes and benches Russell Wilson at the end, 2 games left of last year. And then
so he didn't get hurt and they have to pay his guaranteed salary this year.
Yeah. That's the reason why.
That's the same reason why we did it to Derek Carr.
Yeah. That's like that. Just do like Al Davis, just cause. I ain't gotta tell you nothing, just cause, okay? Put it on the overhead projector, just cause.
Just cause.
Little Nation, just cause. All right. So now picture this. Russell Wilson, a little angry. Maybe chip on his shoulder, comes to, let's say, the Raiders, and he's focused now. He's because I felt like he was distracted. I felt like him and Sierra doing TikTok videos and doing Subway commercials, and people were cringing out there in the Mile High City up there in Denver. I just think that maybe he was a little full of himself when he was up there. He got humbled by Sean Payton when Sean Payton came in, and then he ended up benching him. So maybe Russell Wilson could be someone that has something to prove, has a newfound life that he, in the NFL, like he wants to take on the world. And especially with the Broncos being in the division, you don't think that's a little fire under him that he wants to go out there and let's say the Raiders pick him up and he wants to go and just prove to everybody that he still got it, that he's not washed up, that his good years were left in Seattle?
Can't you say that about any quarterback? Can't you say that about Jimmy Garoppolo? He's going to want to go somewhere and prove that he wasn't washed up and that, his play for the Raiders wasn't who he was. And, this whole thing on, why he's getting suspended wasn't a real thing. You can say that about any quarterback who's on this free agent list. Well, the majority of them. So, no.
So you're saying Danny Green, we are who he is who we thought he is?
Yeah.
All right. I was just trying to pitch it for him. Just trying to pitch, see if Russell Wilson.
Look, just because I said that, though, watch, we'll end up with them. And then I'm going to have to fucking sit here and do shows every week about saying, see, I told you so.
Okay, so here we go. Now last year when we brought in Garoppolo, we were all like, nah, no, it's not going to work because he has that, the injury history. Russell, if they was to sign Russell Wilson and he comes in, would you have more optimism for this coming year with Russell Wilson as you did with Garoppolo last year coming into the Raiders?
Remember, even if he comes in, he's still got to beat out Aiden O'Connell. It's not his job to,
I know.
Now we talk about he beat out Aiden O'Connell.
Well, no, I'm just saying is that if we sign Russell Wilson, would it be like, if this is Garoppolo last year, we were like, and Russell Wilson comes in, would he be at the same level? Would it be high, like for your
It'd be slightly higher than Garoppolo because he's mobile. So you gain a little bit there. But go back and watch the tape. The mistakes he was making was typical Russell mistakes. He won a Super Bowl, but he had a defense behind him.
The Legion of Boom.
You know, granted, he comes here, there should be a defense there too. But there's too many games that he just for his experience, he seems to have forgotten how to read the field. I mean, he'll throw a ball and you like, even I saw that defender over there. Why the fuck you throwing that ball? Or why you running when you clearly had somebody who could have gained 3 extra more yards than what you did.
Yeah. So Russell Wilson washed up?
I mean, I'm not going to say washed up. He might have a couple of more years of playing, but that's a stopgap. And AP made it clear he doesn't want a stopgap. He wants a long term.
Yeah, he
Russell
said
Wilson's not a long term.
I don't want a Band-Aid. I want someone who's long term. All right. Well, I was trying Russell Wilson.
I just don't see Russell Wilson as long term. I just don't. I mean, you're going to get him for what, 2, maybe 3 years?
Well, I mean, he wouldn't be someone long term. He would be like that bridge, or maybe that's somebody like they try to do in New York, where they brought in Aaron Rodgers to be that the tutor.
Now I definitely don't want him. He's gonna go out there, take fucking 3 steps back, and
going to the glue factory because your Broncos.
I really don't want him.
All right, well then, if not, because we're not going to talk about draft yet. That's for next month, end of next month.
So
but
let him ride.
Let's go, Raider Nation. We don't want to ride.
We don't know how to ride. We sail.
Now, of course, we both said Kirk Cousins would probably be the more skill set similar to Aiden O'Connell. Baker Mayfield was not offered a franchise tag. Are you surprised about that one?
No, because I think they're going to try to, in the long run, they're going to sign him to a longer contract, which is going to be more, I want to say, team friendly. When they're in that contract, they could always renegotiate it, restructure it, shit like that if they need to. And who they ended up franchise tagging, which I believe was Winfield, who was on the defense, they needed to do that more. I think Baker's still staying. So I'm not as surprised by him not getting franchise tagged. I'll be more surprised if he walks and ends up signing with another team.
Oh, yeah. Could that be the Raiders?
It possibly could. Now, that's somebody who could be a long-term player, and his skill sets would be similar to Aiden O'Connell's as well.
Yeah. I mean, you got guys on there like Joe Flacco that came off the couch last year and took the Browns to the playoffs. Didn't take them to the Super Bowl. That's that old joke.
No, everybody takes the Browns to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's kind of.
So, out of these players, Kirk Cousins is the guy that we would like to see. If it's a veteran that the Raiders want to go with to help in the development of Aiden O'Connell.
If you're looking for that stopgap, 2 or 3 years, Kirk Cousins, I think, is the best option. Likelihood of him beating out Aiden O'Connell is probably good, but who better for him to sit behind and learn what he needs to do and be able to read everything and go. Not to mention, if Cousins got hurt, you don't have to change the playbook to bring in O'Connell. O'Connell could just step in and run that exact same playbook with the exact, nothing has to change in that aspect.
Yep. Running backs, here we go. Real quick. Saquon Barkley. Now I said it because I read it. See, now I know how to say it. Saquon Barkley was not offered the franchise tag. He is now a free agent. I think they're tying him to what, the Texans?
Oh, he's been tied to the Texans, to Dallas, to us.
Okay.
And the Titans, I believe. Same with Josh Jacobs.
Out of this list of guys, if not, let me start all over. Out of this list of guys, do you think Josh Jacobs is the best option for the Raiders out of these 10, out of the rest of this list of these 10 guys, do you think Josh Jacobs is the best option for the Raiders to try to re-sign than to try to sign someone outside?
I'd rather have DeAndre Swift than Josh Jacobs.
How so?
Swift, he's just a younger back. He's, I mean, just look at his numbers. I mean, he's one less. He wasn't used well with Philly, but his averages are higher. He's just younger. He's been in a situation where he's not been running back by committee when he was with the Lions, and I believe even with the Eagles. I think he might. I don't want to say cheaper option. He might be the same as Josh Jacobs. I just think overall, I like DeAndre Swift better. I just think he's just younger. He got that chip. Being this will be his third team he's playing for, fourth team, some shit like that already. And I don't think he's going to have that issue of sharing touches with Zeus.
I like that argument. I like the argument. I think out of all these, I'm on the side with Josh Jacobs because of the familiarity. He knows the players, he knows the coach, and I'm gonna say Josh Jacobs is gonna come out with a friendly team friendly deal. I just think that
he's safe. He can't get his big numbers in years and money. He's willing to take a 1-year deal. He's willing to take the 1-year deal. So to me, it does sound like he has that, as you put it, chip on his shoulder.
Well, I say he doesn't want to leave. I don't think he really wants to leave. What could be happening next year with the Raiders and AP and a whole new offensive coordinator, a whole new offense with a new offensive coordinator. I mean, I would like I said with Raider Man last week. I think his best option would be to stay with the Raiders. He'll probably get his best unless someone comes out of nowhere and overpays for him. I think his best option would stay. They would just have to, like I said, have an offense where both of them are utilized. Not just one is like 90% and then the other 10%, their defense knows what's going to happen and they key in on the guy who's back there in the backfield. But DeAndre Swift, do you know if we do have DeAndre Swift, that'll be another Swift who's a runner in the AFC West. Oh!
But as I said with Raider Man too, it would be interesting to get a Derrick Henry. Now, Derrick Henry runs just like AP wants. He wants to hurt that defensive line. And that's what Derrick Henry is. He's that pounder. You want those 2 yards, you give it to Henry, he'll get you the 3 yards.
And I mean, and that's something that Luke Getsy had said, and I don't think we played this clip yet, but that's something Luke Getsy had said in his presser when he was officially introduced and had his media session.
And as you talk about the vision of the offense, I mean, you always have to play into the players that you have, and your best players got to be the one shining on Sunday. And so it's always about finding what everybody does best, and finding cool and unique ways to emphasize those things each and every week. And we're always going to start with talking about our play style and the mentality that we're going to bring. I mean, that's going to be evident. I use that phrase. We want as an offense, we want everyone to feel our film. We don't just want them to see it. And that's going to be a big part of it. And I think that's where AP and I really hit off. And obviously there's the West Coast is a general term now. There's obviously different flavors of it that everyone has kind of taken run with, and I think we'll have our own as well. We're all about winning here, right? That's whatever it takes to win, and whether that's some weeks you got to run it more and some weeks you got to throw it more, whatever it takes. I think it's all about playing into the players that you have, and trying to get them to do the things that they do really well. And so whatever that looks like, we'll find out here this fall, but we'll take this off season to go ahead and figure out exactly what that is.
That's what he said. He said he wants them to feel
the tape,
and Derrick Henry would fit that mold, or will fit that. But I guess it all depends more on how much these running backs would request in payment. Command. Well, I'm trying to be nice here because it's still early in the they haven't even gotten to free agency yet. Yeah, but then
they're all
once March 11th,
you know, there's no
command.
franchise tags hanging on them.
Oh yeah, everyone's all free. Everyone's free to mingle. They're all going to be single to mingle. All right, tight ends, baby. Here we go. Dalton Schultz, you said. Well, this is obviously it's out of date now because Schultz, you said you had told me before he's going to resign with the Houston.
Or no,
Texans.
that or he did. He got an extension, 2-year extension.
So he is no longer for sale. Noah Fant with the
Who
Seahawks.
was traded from the Broncos to the Seahawks in that Russell Wilson trade.
Yeah,
he's one of them that was.
He's one of the guys that they use for the guy who's now a free agent released. Yeah. Austin Hooper is the 10th guy on this list. Now, of course, we have our starter, which is Michael Mayer. But you said you want to.
I think Hooper was a good compliment to Mayer. Hooper could block. Hooper could catch. He just wasn't throwing the ball a lot. And I think it's somebody that Mayers could still learn from. And I think Hooper is still good enough to, when needed, he's going to be there. And he had some big plays in the game. I mean, there was times that the announcers turned around and said, "Oh, Michael, oh no, I'm wrong. That was Hooper." For 12 yards or whatever it was. I mean, I like Hooper out of this list. I'm maybe Noah Fant, but I would have said Schultz, but since he's no longer an option, if we don't do Hooper, I could do Font, Font, whatever his name is.
Michael,
I'm butchering it.
Mike Gesicki. I remember. I remember he had good plays here and there. But yeah, I would like to. I'll resign Austin Hooper. I just think it's hard to evaluate these guys because of the Raiders because of what happened last year. If Austin Hooper was in an actual offense that worked, we could have probably seen more targets towards him, more maybe, because I don't think he got into the end zone. I think Michael Mayer was the only tight end that got into the end zone. So I would say, if nobody else comes out and tries to give him a better deal, I can see the Raiders re-signing him to maybe a 2-year. He already had the 1 year, maybe a 2-year contract just to, show, hey, we want you back. We'll give you 2 years to be that veteran behind Michael Mayer.
And help him out. So, keep grooming him like you've been doing.
Of course, yes. So, and if not, Hunter Henry, he was decent.
He was decent, but he's a big, slow guy, though. They picked up Henry thinking he's going to be the next Gronk.
Yeah.
Which is great for when you want him blocking, but I don't know. I guess Hunter Henry. I'm not too thrilled with this year's tight end group in the free agency. Like I said, for me, it's either Font or Hooper.
Stay with our own receivers. Now we have a good receiving core with Adams and Myers and Tucker emerging, and even as of right now, still under contract, Hunter Renfrow. If he can just have a career resurgence, and it's early in his career to be saying that going into
Mike Evans is gone too on this list.
Yes, Mike Evans re-signed or will resign with the Buccaneers. T. Higgins, as you can see right there, a little franchise tag. He is sell pending. And also Michael Pittman Jr. also has a tag up there. So those two guys, I mean, you're gonna have to give up something to their respective organizations for them. So we're going to rule them out for now. The first three guys are off the board. Calvin Ridley with the Jaguars, Marquise Brown with the Cardinals. Odell Beckham, he's an older receiver. He already had an Achilles injury in the Super Bowl a couple years back. I would say maybe out of this, if we were to, Tyler Boyd, Darnell Mooney.
I mean, I know Marquise Brown is related to Antonio Brown, but it looks like CTE hasn't hit in him. And when
CTE's
me and
not
Raider
real.
Man were talking about him, he Raider Man was big on Marquise and kind of sold me on Marquise Brown.
I would say, if anything, I would go with Mooney, being that he knows. I lost his name. I forgot his name. Getsy. Luke Getsy. Being that he's familiar with Luke Getsy, I would say if you was to pick out of this group to add one more receiver to the receiving core,
well,
I would
the way you
say
gotta look at
Darnell.
it is, if you're doing this, you're probably replacing Hunter Renfrow.
I don't want to replace Hunter Renfrow. I think
Neither
that
do
I just think that when McDaniels came in, he really tried to change Hunter Renfrow's game, not allowing him to. Not allowing him to have that freedom and himself getting open. And I get, be disciplined in your routes, but certain guys, they're here for a reason, in this league for a reason, and trying to change
he got
their
the name
whole.
Jordan Renfro for a reason, and it wasn't because he was running crisp routes.
Yeah, he was like I used to say he's like a little field mouse. He'll find an opening and boom, there he goes. So I would say, if anything, Darnell Mooney. You say Marquise Brown. Raider Man persuaded you on Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
All right. Offensive line. These are my peoples right here. Going back to high school football. Offensive line. As you can see, Jermaine Illuminor is on this list. He is a like I said, serviceable tackle. I wouldn't mind having him back as a backup depth, a swing tackle, and he can also play guard. So just as that swing offensive lineman. But out of these guys, who you want to go Trent Brown part 2?
Twinkie, no. Twinkie off the list.
Twinkie Brown is off the list. I keep hearing a lot about, well, actually, no. I think I might be getting mixed up with somebody, but Mekhi Becton with the Jets. And I know the Jets didn't have a great offensive line last year, but who's to say you get one guy off there, put him in a better situation, he does a better job.
Well, who's to say that he wasn't the best offensive lineman on their team, and the rest of them weren't doing their job, and you can't blame him necessarily. I mean, I can't remember. I mean, for the most part, they weren't the worst offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'd have to say Carolina was that.
Yeah, just ask Richardson.
Richardson.
Was it Richardson? No, who was their quarterback?
Bryce Young.
Oh, Young. Okay, Richardson was the Colts. My bad.
Yes.
My bad. Well, you know what? Ask him too, okay? Ask how his line went too, okay? My bad. My bad, guys. My bad, There you go. Okay, I got my X. All right. Out of these guys,
I like Vector for his size right there, 6'7", 363.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about what's his name? Not God damn it. James. And
Andre?
how small he is. The center.
Our center?
Yes.
Andre James?
Andre James, and how small he is, and how we need, bigger guys up front who could be taught how to be an offensive lineman and block.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think
I kind of, I'm trying to go back on games we saw or whatever, and you know, the only other one that jumps off to me that I could remember would be Robert Hunt. I mean, he had a block for a running quarterback, which is not easy to do, and Miami dominated there for what was it, the first 2/3 of the season before they collapsed.
kind of came back to earth.
You know, and it's not easy. Most offensive linemen don't like a running quarterback because they don't know what the fuck's going on, and they're harder to block for. And I felt
Yeah.
you know, the Miami offensive line as a whole was a good offensive line. So anybody you get from there, you know, is worth poaching.
I think it all depends on the type of blocking scheme that Getsy wants to go with. If he wants to go with a power line, you want to get the big tackle, you know, the big heavy tackle. So like a Mackay or a
Trent.
no, we're not
I
looking
mean,
at
you
Trent.
got to go off his size 6'8", 370 pounds. I mean, probably 300
Yeah.
of that pounds is Twinkies.
Yeah, but see, Twinkies. But see, he quit on the Raiders last time because he didn't like the way Gruden coached, and he wanted to go back to Belichick. And I mean, he took the money. He signed. He took the money, but nah. But if Getsy goes with like a zone blocking where a lot of the linemen will be moving, you know, pulling and yeah, or having to down like, you know, go after down blocking moving the offensive line, especially if there's a mobile quarterback back there. I would say you want to go for a smaller athletic guy. And maybe like a Robert Hunt, being that he has, you know, they had a running quarterback or a mobile quarterback back there. Maybe even like a Tyron Smith. You know, so I would say it all depends on how even Josh Jones over here with the Texans, you know, 6'5" but 319, you know, move around. Maybe with that, it all depends on what kind of blocking scheme that Luke Getsy wants to run when he implements his offense. So
look at the big words.
The big words, implements, okay? Implements. They have them in size D, double D. You know, you can get any implements, any size you want.
Those are implants. There's a difference.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, okay, there you go. Implants. There you go. All right.
Slight difference.
Slight difference. Speaking of inside, in the middle, beef in the middle. Here we go. All right. Guards and centers. Now, Andre James is on this list, but I am ready to move on from Andre James at center. If he can play guard, maybe, but he's a center. So I can move on from Andre James, have him go test free agency. But out of this list, centers and guards, who do you like taking over, or who do you like the Raiders bringing in and plugging into this offensive line? Because they got to rebuild the offensive line for whoever's going to be back there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if it's going to be if Aiden O'Connell wins out, you got to have guys up there that can just hold their blocks for longer than 2 seconds. You know, give me 3.5 seconds.
And if you want, I mean, offensive line is more your area than it is mine. But if you want to go just based off of teams that had success with their quarterbacks and because their offensive lines, I mean, you got Connor Williams, Joey Jackson, Kevin Zietler, even Dalton Reisner. You know, all those were teams that made playoffs or should have made the playoffs, you know, going just based off of, you know, the success that those teams have had going. Like I said, we talked about taking anybody Miami has, so I'm going to stick with that one for sure. Lions offensive line looked good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming that we're going to move Parham to middle, to center, because he looked good against the Chargers on that blowout game. So we're trying to fill in a right tackle and 2 guards because the left tackle, of course, is Miller, Colton Miller. I would say maybe I would take a Kevin Zietler. Having to be up there blocking for Jamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Sorry, Jamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson. Yeah. You know what? It's okay. People who are watching,
you just can't take things off. That's all, because it fucking fucks you up 2 weeks later.
I know. I had 1 week off, and I'm over here trying to come back like I'm over here on concussion protocol. Are you okay, sir? Are the lights too bright for you? Maybe we should just ease you back in before we go and put you back out there. And now you're doing a podcast called CTE is Not Real, AB. So Connor Williams.
Do you hear the color red?
Do you hear the color red? Can you smell the number 5?
Yeah, number 5 stinks. Woo!
I would take a Kevin Zietler. And yeah, you know what? Jonah Jackson. There's my offensive guards right there. All right, then. Here we go. It's kind of hard to do offensive line because there's no like stats for an offensive line.
There are stats, but the best thing. What's the best thing that an offensive lineman could is told by their coaches?
No. If they don't say your name, you're doing something good.
Yep. If they don't know who you are, then you're doing your job right.
Exactly. Because a false start, holding. He just got rid of a block. He just lost a block. Lookout block.
He just whiffed on that. Now his quarterback's being stretchered off the fucking field.
Yeah. It's not what you want to hear. Remember that in 2014? No, 2016. 2016, Christmas Eve. Worst Christmas ever. Won the game. Yeah, that was
that actually happened right in front of me too.
And what did you say Del Rio should have done?
He should have fucking pulled his ass out the game. That game was over already.
It was done.
He should have said, you're sitting for the rest of this game, and whoever our fucking backup was, go out there and fucking just keep the ball in between the lines and throw it to our guys. That's all you got to do.
McGloin. All right. That was Connor Cook, McGloin.
Connor Cook.
Oh, yeah, the glory years of our last couple years of Oakland. Gotta love it. Going into the defensive side, this is your area right here, the defensive side. Defensive tackles and ends. So these are the guys up front. Of course, Chris Jones is number 1 on our list of someone that we want to bring in.
Well, he's number 1 on a lot of people's lists. I don't care who you're a fan of.
Yeah,
everybody wants Chris Jones.
As a Raider, to take him away from the Chiefs, because I remember back in the day when we had Chester McLaughlin and the Chiefs gave him more money and he ended up playing as a Chief for the rest of his career. I would like to get that revenge back and get Chris Jones and have him stay with the Raiders, and maybe that could be the missing piece.
Marcus Allen too.
Yeah, but I'm talking defensive tackle. I'm talking D-line. Marcus Allen was an Al Davis feud, and I mean...
And tell me that had nothing to do with him going to Kansas City.
Well, of course
Marcus Allen says no, but I call bullshit.
Of course you're going to... If you want to stick it to the Raiders, you're going to go to Kansas City. Even back then. That's all. Kansas City has always been our number 1 main rival within the AFC West. Goes back all the way to Len Dawson and Ben Davidson. Okay. So, it's just an ongoing... We own the Broncos now. the Chargers we're half and half with in the last couple years. We're half and half. We always split with we've split with them since what's his name Herbert came into the league. So we've been split with him with the Chargers. But if we can just take Chris Jones away from their defense, because when Chris Jones was holding out, the Chiefs, their defense wasn't that great.
Nope.
They didn't have that force in the middle. And I know what you said that Chris Jones wants to be a Chief for life. He wants to retire with the Chiefs.
That's what I keep hearing.
But
money as I've always told all the Chiefs fans out here, let's see what he says when money's being thrown at him.
Yep, money talks, and so does AP. And AP might have that verbal magic to be like, hey, man, come to the Raiders, man. The Raider way, smack some fools down. I know you want to smack down Mahomes because you can't do it in practice. Come on, man. Just come on over. Let's go. So I would say Chris Jones, number one. But if we're going to stay, outside of the Chris Jones, because it's going to cost a lot, of course. Do we put the money down for a Chris Jones? Do we put the money down for a Chris Jones?
If you could get him, fuck yeah. I mean, he's him with Max Crosby and
Kuntz?
Tyree and who?
Kuntz.
I mean, that's an defensive line that all those offensive linemen are saying, fuck, I don't want to play today. Or like I'm not going to take away from Chris Jones's talent there. He's definitely talented. I mean, his numbers should be bigger than what they are. But like you said, he had 10.5 sacks and he held out for how many games?
He was like, almost half the season?
I was going to say at least 4 games.
Oh, I thought it was longer.
I don't recall. I thought you had that answer. That's why I asked. But apparently neither one of us had. Anyways, he held out for a while. And
you're in Chiefs Kingdom. You should know this, Kay.
No, I don't need to know this. How about what do you think about bringing back Denico Autry?
Denico Autry. Sorry, Denico Autry. Would he come back?
Why wouldn't he?
Well, I mean, okay, how about this one? If you want to bring back former Raiders, Autry or you know who? Mr. 52. Mr. Khalil Mack.
I'm going to have to go Autry.
Because everyone's all like, bring Khalil, come home. Khalil, come home.
I get everyone doing that, but it's hard for me to do that when a guy gave up on the team. When he turned around and said, flat out, I want more money, I'm holding out. That's fine, whatever. We dealt with that with Josh Jacobs. We deal, teams deal with that all the time. But then when you hired Gruden and he turns around and said, nope, I don't want to play for Gruden. I'm not going to fucking play at all. Basically trade me or I'm sitting at home. That's giving up on your team. And I can't vouch for somebody who, if he gave up for the team once, who says he's not going to give up on the team again?
All right, so that means Trent Williams is off the list on the offensive tackle, and Khalil Mack on the defensive front.
Besides, you have to wait for him to either get cut or traded.
Yeah, I mean,
Kinlaw, wasn't he the one who hurt his Achilles going into the game during the Super Bowl?
No, that was Greenlaw.
Greenlaw?
Different law.
Okay. Not Kinlaw?
Yes. Not Kinlaw. It was Greenlaw. Not Ken, not the children, but the Greenlaw. Money law. I don't know. Now I thought I updated this, but Justin Madubuik has been franchise tagged by the team, so he is sell pending.
I just noticed that.
Huh?
He's the Earl Hickey of football. His eyes are closed in that picture.
Earl Hickey. I mean,
out of this list, I like Christian Wilkins and Leonard Williams. Fletcher Cox is getting too old.
Yeah. I was surprised he's still in the league.
Yeah, that's true. considering his center just retired.
Yeah. Shirtless McGee. I would say, yeah.
A luchador.
It's we need more help in the inside. So yeah, Christian Wilkins, but Chris Jones. Put the money down. Put the money down on Chris Jones.
I say put that money down and at least try to lure him away. I mean, Christian, if we're going off of this and not throwing him out, Chris Jones, number one. I mean, put a big step on it. Him and Max Crosby and Kuntz and Tyree Wilson, all up on, the front four right there. I mean, you can only double team one or two guys. The rest are coming through.
And they're coming through hard. Got to get that quarterback down in the first 5 plays. All right, here we go. Defensive free agents. These are your pass rushers. Josh Allen and Brian Burns have been tagged, so they are basically off the list. Chase Young, who was traded to the Niners from the Washington, whoever you want to call them.
Redskins.
He's been we're not going to be politically correct over here. Redskins, the old school Washington Redskins. Chase Young, he was traded over there, but he had they're saying he takes plays off. We can't have that. Not with Max Crosby.
That was a big thing being said. It's either why he got traded from Washington or it was more notice when he was with the Niners, something like that. Yeah, that was the big talk about going into the Super Bowl was him taking plays off.
How about a Jadeveon Clowney? I know he's older, but
he's been around. I mean, I'd rather have Danielle Hunter out of this group. He's definitely a difference maker. I don't trust Andrew Van Ginkel just because it sounds like Finkel, and then the other Van guy
was Einhorn. That was with the Dolphins though. Finkel was Einhorn. Ginkel was Einhorn. Einhorn is Ginkel.
Finkel.
I know, but he's Ginkel. Okay.
Ginkel. Laces out with that Terry Bradshaw haircut. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney maybe has some depth, if you get him on a, good deal. I could see that when he was floating around the last couple of years, I wouldn't have mind getting him. But personally, out of this list, I mean, Josh Allen, I would have definitely taken. Brian Burns, same thing. But since they're tagged, Danielle Hunter is like the next big thing right there in my book.
How about Bryce Huff from the highly ranked Jets defense?
See, when we played against him, I don't remember. Was he not playing when we played him? Because I don't remember his name being called. I don't remember him doing much of anything.
Like what was that? Marshall. I'm forgetting his first name. From the Purple People Eaters in the Super Bowl, Art Shell erased Marshall from the history books. He didn't make one stat in that game.
The whole Purple People Eaters didn't make any stats. That whole offensive line they said purple people what? We ain't purple. We're not that dark. Damn.
We ain't purple. Yeah, as well. So I would say Clowney on a veteran 1 year deal, a veteran's minimum, because he's older and he's bounced around like you said.
The Ravens are like his 5th team, something like that.
He's drafted by the Texans. He went to not the Titans. I forgot where he went. I'm surprised. I don't want to say I'm surprised he's still around, but kinda a little bit.
He was another one who was accused of taking plays off and shit like that early in his career.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's played for. Boy, come on, hurry up. He's played for Houston Texans, Seattle Seahawks, Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, and the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, I did get it right. I did say Titans. All right. Let's go linebacker. We can't, we got a couple guys back there. We got Spillane. But we can use some depth. We can use some other guys in there. Out of this group right here, Patrick Queen sticks out.
Patrick Queen. Yeah, no, Patrick Queen and Devin White are the two that stand out biggest to me. Willie Gay Jr. would probably be the third on that list.
Bobby Wagner is up there in age.
Yeah, I was going to say,
was it like one of the last ones at the Boom or the Legion of Boom?
I want to say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Patrick Queen, Lavonte David. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go Patrick Queen.
I go Queen. Yeah, fucking Wagner was drafted in 2012.
2000. Wow, he's 14, about to be what, 15 years in? No, 14 and 15 seasons in. Starting next year. Starting this coming up football season.
Devin White's another one that really stands out. I mean, he's a. I think he'd fit well with Spillane and Diablo.
Now I know with the, especially with the linebackers, we gotta have guys. We gotta have guys who can cover. They gotta be able to run because these offenses, these spread offenses, where they you can't have just your old school a hard hitting linebacker anymore. You gotta have that one that can keep up with these crossing routes of these slot receivers and faster tight ends. That's why I would say like a Patrick Queen. I would say Queen and David. I will go with trying to get to fill in, but I mean, I would say we're probably gonna go draft on that one with the linebacker. But
we'll probably draft the linebacker as well.
Yeah, that's AP's people right there, the linebackers. Here we go. Defensive free agents on the cornerbacks. Jalen Johnson and Sneed. Sneed was given permission to talk, and then he ended up giving or getting the franchise tag. So those two.
Yeah, well, the NFL had to make sure that the Chiefs could. So now they're able to play around with fucking money and keep some people.
Yep, get them. Raise the salary cap. Have the Chiefs try to three-peat. Because that hasn't been done yet. So,
and it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen this time either.
Come on, man. We gotta knock him off the throne of the AFC West. These guys,
Max Crosby got what he wants. Now he needs to fucking step up and do what he said.
Yep, we gotta cash that check that he wrote. Let's go. Out of these guys, of course, it's the next 3 to 10 because the first two guys are off the board as of right now, unless the Raiders try to go and sign them and give up whatever for it. Stephen Gilmore.
He's getting old.
Yeah.
I like a Woozy and a Kuda.
Chidobe Woozy. I would say out of these, Kenny Moore. I mean, is there anyone that stands out besides the first two, really?
Well, I gave you the ones that stood out to me.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a lot of these. Well, maybe the Texans. Did the Texans have a decent defense?
Well, I mean, it was good enough to get them to the playoffs. To work with fucking a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. You know why? Because their rookie quarterback started. Well, he was the starter since day one of the offseason. Okay.
Yep. Oh. And he was the only one to have better numbers than Aiden O'Connell.
But like we said, Team Ramrod.
Team Ramrod.
Team Ramrod. Say it. Team Ramrod.
Team Ramrod.
All right, out of the cornerbacks, I'm gonna go with you. Whatever you said, I'm gonna go with Awuzie. And
I mean, we're definitely going to. I mean, there's some good cornerbacks in the draft. I know we're not doing the draft, but that's another position we're probably going to be drafting. It might be who we take at 13. There's a couple of big names, coming out there and everything. So, and we have a good quarterback group to go with. So we're just adding some people, that hopefully could gel with them and help out and everything.
yeah, I mean, the guys we have now. I mean, do you think? Because we drafted Jacorian Bennett last year. Did we, as whether a team or Raider Nation, did we lose faith in Jacorian Bennett?
I have not. No, Jacorian Bennett was thrown in there as a rookie, and yes, he got picked on. He showed flat. He made rookie mistakes, but he made up for them later on in the game. He showed flashes of of being a good cornerback. I mean, he showed flashes. So it's one of those, give him time, just like with Tyree Wilson. Nobody want to listen to me when I say give him, till about week 8. Week 8 came around, week 9. All of a sudden, they moved him to the inside. I think it was week 10. And bam, all of a sudden, we could have had Jalen Carter. We could have had Jalen. Fuck Jalen Carter, because you know what? Tyree, once he got moved to the inside, outplayed Carter. So,
yes.
He did.
Oh, wait, I got this one too. Well, during the season, we used this stat. I got to update
Yeah, it was during, because this isn't even all the games. This was the first. Yeah, okay, the 4 games from whenever from when he got moved to the inside. And I still think there was 2 or 3 more games after that.
Yeah.
Carter hit that brick wall. Tyree Wilson didn't. But
because.
So no, I did not lose. Huh? Because
no, I was saying because Carter, he already thought he was a superstar. They didn't really put the work in.
He did well. He didn't do
no,
something.
I don't know.
He fizzled out at the end, and Tyree Wilson got better.
Yeah.
But I did not lose faith in Bennett yet. We saw some rookie mistakes. We saw some things, but he's got good guys behind him who could help him get through those, hurdles. And I think you're going to see more out of Bennett. Like I said, I like our cornerback group.
Last one, the safeties. Now, we do have Marcus Epps with one more year left in his contract, so he'll be back there.
We got Epps, yeah. I think it's one more, yeah.
Epps was a good veteran, like Woodson in his second stint with the Raiders. He was back there. And going back to cornerbacks, like you were saying, I was going to say with Jacorian Bennett, maybe it takes a second year to learn the defense of a Patrick Graham, because in the first year, they looked lost. The second year, they gelled together, and the Raiders were what were well, of course, when the AP also took over, he probably allowed Patrick Graham to be Patrick Graham, and the defense stepped up and climbed the rankings. So, I mean, maybe
defense.
Give Jacorian Bennett a full off season with a unhandcuffed Patrick Graham defense, and maybe he could surprise a lot of people. I know a lot of people lost faith in him because he was benched, but he was a rookie. He was learning. And like I said, it's hard to judge these guys with what happened last year with McDaniels and then shifting over to AP and things started looking better. So being that AP is a defensive guy, he has a lot of defensive this team's going to be more defensive is what I'm trying to say. So I can see Jacorian Bennett coming back and maybe competing for that starting job again. But going into the safeties, like you said earlier, and Antoine Winfield has been tagged. So with everybody else on the board, these are the top 10 defensive free agent safeties. With the rest of the 9, who on here do you like? I'm gonna say, because the Jets have that defense, I'm gonna say Jordan Whitehead would be good to bring in. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You can't have too many names.
I like Gardner-Johnson, but the big one that stands out is Xavier McKinney. He played under under Gunther's. Oh, shoot me for that. Patrick Graham defense already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he was with the Giants. So he has familiarity with Graham. And I think that would be a huge advantage.
I can see, yeah. He knows all the
terminology,
the terminology and the philosophy that Patrick Graham probably was trying to instill over there in New York. Coming over here, maybe Patrick Graham, like I said, he has more freedom. So yeah, I like that pick. But yeah, I would say C.J. Gardner-Johnson would be my guy to come in, and second would be Jordan Whitehead because of that Jets defense that they had
because of their secondary.
Yes, so you tighten up that secondary. You get a Chris Jones on the line. We're number one defense in the league. That's my prediction right there. Oh yeah. All right.
That's assuming the Raiders listen to us and get these players.
Well, come on, Raiders. We got to tag them into these shows so they can see, because we've been guessing a lot, and they got to get that. We got to put that together. All the predictions we had this past year, well, we had it right. Like when I said, Illuminor lost his job to Mumford on the right side, and when Colton Miller got hurt, they put Illuminor on the left side. But I was all like, you know what? They should switch the tackles because Mumford can play both sides. Illuminor was more used to playing right, and then 2 weeks later, oh, look at Mumford's on the left side. Illuminor's on the right side. I called that. There you go. Boom, boom. I
called moving Tyree Wilson to the inside.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said moving Tyree Wilson to the inside because of that bull rush that he showed when he first came in and had action against the Cowboys in the preseason. He was pushing that guy back into the quarterback. So, I mean, you gotta play to these player strengths, like Getsy said in that clip we played on the defensive side. Patrick Graham will figure out each player's strength. He has the opportunity to do so. He has the freedom, and now we have going back to our coaches. You got guys like Andre Carter to help with the rush, and maybe him having Andre Carter, help
with
out Tyree. Have Tyree
who knows defenses. Yeah. It could help with the Tyree and maybe develop a couple more, moves in whatever, because Tyree was actually going in and out, inside and outside, but he had more success on the inside. And if you give him more than that bull rush, he's going to come back. He had that foot injury. He's completely healed. He's going to have a complete offseason, like we keep saying about O'Connell. He's going to have that too. And then now you got a Marvin Lewis and Andre Carter,
Mike Caldwell.
I was going to say Caldwell too, probably a little bit. That's going to, I think, go a long way. And he was getting the gist of everything going and benefiting and plugging up holes and going. And now with time and working with Max and working with these new coaches, you might see why Tyree was drafted 7th overall, ahead of Carter.
Okay. They didn't want to draft Carter because of the whole issue with the racing. What was he, drag racing in the streets, and we already had an incident like that. We don't want to have a repeat, especially being in Vegas. Just the
Well,
red flags.
He had off-field issues.
Yes. He had the
And-
red flags.
Yes. And when it comes down to it, you know, there's a reason for it. You know, would he have, you know, everyone wants to say, oh, it would have got worked out, this, that, the other. But you put a player like that in Las Vegas, shit ends up happening. Look at what happened to Ruggs. Ruggs had no off the field issues, was a clean cut coming out of college, and didn't make it, what, 2 years?
It was like 2.5.
You know, before doing something stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no reason drunk driving in the NFL period because all these teams offer, you know, ways for you to get home. You know, they got somebody probably on call that you could call at any time, especially in Vegas.
Yes. And, you know that's that young, naive mentality. And
then you put them in a place where you could party all the time, do all this. You know, you have to have a strong will. You have to have a strong coaching staff. You have to have a strong, well, you just have to have a strong, you know, staff, you know, in building in order to be able to do this kind of shit. And with McDaniels, especially, we didn't have that.
Well, that happened with under Gruden.
No, with the Ruggs, yes, but I'm talking about with Carter and everything.
Oh yeah.
You know, with McDaniels, we didn't have that. And I'm not saying he couldn't have worked out here. Everyone wants to say sometimes these players come in and they do better on other teams, not with the team drafted, because schemes, coaches, there's just something there. Other people on the, you know, on the defensive line will go, since we're talking that, you know, that play a factor in that. Who's to say Jalen Carter comes over here and was just as effective? Who says Tyree Wilson don't go to the Eagles and be able to play even better than he did over here?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the, I guess, one of the flaws of a lot of these coaches, these coordinators, where instead of trying to fit the scheme to the players, they try to fit the players into the scheme, and a lot of times it doesn't work out that way. You know, a player goes into a place that's more suitable for his skill set, and you see him making plays, going to Pro Bowls, you know, having all pro stats and all that. So, yeah, who's to say? You know, we never know until it happens, until it, you know. But of course, the big news that a lot of people, and we talked about, we brought it up last week with Raider Man, a lot of news about Lombardi, and it's probably old news. People are getting tired of it, but we're gonna bring it up again because you know what? Because
we got nothing better to do.
Yeah, and you know, it's we're gonna take this subject and we're gonna show you why, but. You know, it's just a lot of Raider hate, you know, and even I'm trying to say this right. Well, let's play the clip. Let's play the clip again and show everybody exactly how and what was said on the podcast. It'll show on the screen. I don't know what it's called. The podcast that Lombardi was on, where he decided to take, you know, with his platform, take shots at AP. He, you know, whatever on this show. Here we go.
I mean, look, you know, I love when we talk about the Raider way. When your man over there, Pierce, talks about the Raider way. So everybody has their own 40 times. So you get a spot at the 40-yard line, where you have your scout time the 40, even though the timing's done on the field and there is electronic timing on the field. You have your scout. Most teams will go with their scout. They have two guys sitting on the 40, they'll go with their scout. You know, the combine book doesn't have your times or any other teams. It has the guys that were on the field. Those are the times. You'd be working all off season on these numbers, and you're looking at a guy who ran 4.48 at the combine, and then you get your long sheets out, and he really ran 4.56 or 4.55 based on the adjustment times. And so when that happens, like, well, you're not selling that guy to Al because, he don't run fast enough. Those long sheets were like the gold. And that's what he would work off of. And it had all the players' stats, his numbers, all that. And so, when you're a size speed team like he is, and Antonio Pierce keeps talking about the Raider way, he doesn't even have any idea about long sheets. He has no idea about increasing 40 times. He has no idea about the protocols and the specifics of each position, because that's essentially what the Raider way is what are we looking for at each position? It's not about playing tough. It's like when you light a torch and you draft a guy who doesn't even run a 40, I mean, you clearly have no idea about the Raider way. See, the Raider way isn't a word. It's about this is the prototype of the player we want at this position. This is the prototype of the player we want at that position. That's the Raider way. See, this is what's just so comical. And he's talking about it because he's from Compton. He thinks he knows the Raider way. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's the prototype. It's not like the swagger and all this stuff. It's like, no, it's an actual prototype of like, here's what is the checklist for each and every position for the Raider way there. And yeah, it's kind of been co-opted now by Antonio Pierce and what they're able to do there. And the Mahomes rules and all that. We talked about that in the last podcast. It's all very, very ridiculous. So I wish them the best of luck. Hopefully it works out for them.
Now, the part that we didn't put on there, or I wasn't if there was a way, tells him, why don't the Raiders tell him to shut up, tell AP to shut up. Hondo Carpenter, who we want to try to get on the show. So
Trying.
we like to reference, huh?
I said, I'm trying.
Yes. So we get a lot of information, from Hondo and his podcast that he puts up.
Daily,
Hondo,
by the way.
huh?
He puts them up daily.
As you can see, we're trying to pitch ourselves to Hondo, like, hey man, we respect you. He always reminds you he's not a Raider fan, but he respects the organization and he respects the Raider Nation. So are you ready for the clip?
Yeah.
So here's what Hondo had to say about Lombardi and his comments towards AP.
Lombardi says some things that I just can't let go as a guy that covers the team. I just feel like I've got to address it a little bit. And so this is something that Lombardi says, quote, "This guy's driving me crazy," unquote. Okay. Why is that a relevant opinion, Mike? But then he goes a step farther. Tenny, just shut up. Why won't somebody in the Raiders tell him to shut up? Why, Mike? Is he a dog? Why should he shut up? Now, you've been critical of the Raiders for years. Was it genuine when you weren't critical for a year and a half when your kids were employed there? But wait, because the comments get worse. It's like just digging a hole for himself. Then he goes on and says, it's so comical because he's from Compton and he thinks he knows the Raider way. It's a joke. He's comical? It's comical? A man being genuine. So here's a guy that says, listen, I'm going to avoid gang activity. I'm going to avoid all of the traps of where I was raised, and I'm going to make something of my life. And you're going to call him comical? And then, because he's from Compton, he thinks he knows the Raider way. It's a joke. Mike, I'm from the cornfields of Langsburg, Michigan. The Raider way has nothing to do with where you're from. The fact that you reference where he's from, and let me just quote it. Quote, because he's from Compton, he thinks he knows the Raider way. That's not true. Because none of where you're from determines Raider Nation. When you reference where somebody's from, And knowing the Raider way, you clearly have proven you have no clue what the Raider way is. I don't care if you got a paycheck signed by Al Davis. He knows the Raider way because he grew up a Raider fan. He cut his teeth on what the Raiders were under Al Davis. He sat in those stadiums and watched the black hole. He doesn't have to pretend to be a Raider. And he never tries to tell you that I have the definitive definition of what a Raider is. You know why? Because he is one. You're calling a man who just got the head coaching job at one of the most prestigious professional sports teams in the world, in the way he has conducted himself, a joke? A joke. A joke. What's the joke about it? What's the joke? Is the joke that he's employed by the Raiders and you're not? The Raider way has farmers in it, and it's got folks from the streets. It's got gang members, and it's got preachers. It's got doctors, and it's got lawyers. And it has those who struggle in blue-collar jobs. They come from the cities. They come from the inner cities. They come from the suburbs, and they come from the rural flatlands of America. Raider Nation is a lot more than color because you find them brown, red, yellow, white, black. Raider Nation is men and women. It's Republicans and Democrats. It's conservatives and liberals. It's Christians and it's atheists. It's Muslims and it's Buddhists. Raider Nation is Americans and Canadians and Mexicans and Russians and Scottish and Irish, British and Filipino. It's all the nations of the world. Raider Nation is not about a gender, a race, a political ideology. It's not about a socioeconomic background. You can find the boisterous and the quiet, the reserved and the extemporaneous. You can find folks of all backgrounds, all philosophies, all socioeconomic worlds who call themselves members of Raider Nation. You can find behemoth men and tiny women.
We played that video a little early because I was in the. It's all right. It's okay. Because see, here's the point. Here's the point that we want to make. Now, Lombardi, who used to work for the Raiders from '98 to 2006, I believe. Feels that he knows the Raider way because he was part of the organization. Okay, cool. And during that timeline, we went to the playoffs 3 times. Lost in 2000 AFC Championship game against the Ravens. Lost to the Patriots and the Tuck Rule. Everyone remembers that, and then lost to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl that following year. Okay, so towards that, Al Davis was, towards the end of his life, was trying to make moves to get back to the Super Bowl. And I would never say Al Davis lost. He was senile or whatever. I would never say that. I would say more that he was just desperate and just trying to put a team together to make that run because Al Davis knew he didn't have that much time left. So him trying to say, Lombardi trying to say what the Raider way is it's kind of like how, here we go. I'm bringing it right now. You saw what he said. Raider Nation, there is no definition of Raider Nation, just like the real definition of the Raider way is, intimidation, the mystique of the Raiders, knowing your history, and following, your true self. The Raiders, what they did was they bring in players who people didn't want, and the Raiders allowed them to be themselves. Just win, baby. Just win. And I felt like
No, that's the important thing though that you said there though, is be themselves. When
Yes.
John Madden was doing this shit, what did John Madden always say? I just let them be themselves. I had 3 rules.
Be on
Don't
time.
be late. Yeah. Be on time. Play like hell on Sunday.
And pay attention.
Other than that, no other teams were sitting on their helmets. You had Raiders players sitting on their helmets. He let them all be themselves. He knew that they needed to be individuals. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but continue.
No. And that's what it was. It was about just like Al Davis would say, just win. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes, whatever. All that matters is at the end of the game is what that score says. We have more points than the opponent. That's the Raider way. Or how old school says it, that's the Raider mystique.
Yeah.
Now people want to now I'm gonna shift gears because this is something that we would see a lot online, on Facebook, and even on YouTube.
And in other podcasts.
And other podcasts. Where just now, as a Raider fan, Raider Nation, you heard Hondo. Okay, there is no definition of who Raider Nation is. It's, Raider Nation. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we are truly worldwide. We embrace everybody. There is no merchandise that sells more than Raiders merchandise worldwide. When you say Silver and Black or the Raiders, everybody knows who that is. You go.
Yes.
I've been to other countries, and I'm always wearing my Raider gears, and I'm always getting pulled to the side. People know about the Raiders.
And one of the things that Al Davis had said before in an interview, he said that he wanted a team so iconic that just saying their colors, what it is. Like, you say Yankee pinstripes, but you still got to say Yankee. You say Dodger blue, but you still have to say Dodger. When you say silver and black, you know who you're talking about. And when it comes to Raider Nation, I feel like there is a divide. There is a divide, and I don't know if that was when Gruden got hired. I don't know if that was when McDaniels got hired, but there was a divide. There is, or maybe it's when Carr tried to come back from injury, because that's another main lightning rod, is the subject of Derek Carr. Now what I don't like, well, that's
just to be current.
But
we got to stay current.
But as Raider fans, we're all different people. We're all different cultures. We're all different ideologies, and we all have our own perception on where this team goes. But also, if you're a Raider fan, I'm going to respect you. If you're a Raider fan, I'm going to respect you because you are on the same boat as us, as all of us. We're all in the same boat. We went through 20 plus years of mediocrity at best. We've only been to the playoffs twice. Yeah, Asylum was a 17-year season ticket holder, and to Raider Man's to his argument that doesn't Asylum doesn't make him feel like he's better than everybody else, because Raider Man was sneaking into games, even though they were 4-12s. They were 2-14 under Art Shell Part 2. Like, they didn't have a lot of winning seasons. 8-8 was like something that we tried to shoot for because we knew we didn't have good seasons. We knew we didn't have good players on the team, but we still went there not just for the game, but for the camaraderie we had in the tailgates. We were always in D-Lot with the black hole that I was raised in. I grew up in the beginning of the black hole. But what I don't like, what we both don't like, is when other Raider fans, and I'm going to say this, if you're attacking another Raider fan on podcasts, on Facebook or whatever, because they like the certain player, they like the certain coach or whatever, when you attack another Raider fan, are you a real Raider fan? You got people on podcasts that try to tell other people, if you like, I'll let you. What are the things you've seen?
I know I saw one where somebody came out and said he's got a very unpopular perception on something, that if it loses him subscribers, he doesn't give a flying fuck. which I'm all cool with all that. But then he continued to talk and then said, if you root for Derek Carr to have, to play well with the Saints, then you're not a real Raiders fan. And I took that one to heart because, for one, yes, I'm one of those guys. Once a Raider, always a Raider, except for 4. There's 4 on my list that don't make that list. Other than that, everybody else is, once a Raider, always a Raider. I want to root for them to do well, whether, until they play us. If they're playing us, no, fuck that. You're going to have the worst game of your career, whatever. But after that or before that, I don't care what you do. I want you to succeed. We'll use the most common. That was for Derek Carr. And Derek Carr's apparently hurt some people's feelings, and people feel certain ways, and they have every right to feel whatever way they want. They don't have to like Derek Carr. But we can use Josh Jacobs here. Let's say Josh Jacobs, all these Carr haters, who like Josh Jacobs leaves, goes to another team. You going to tell me you're not going to root for him to do good with another team? So why is there this double standard in this? For one player, it can't be this way. And then to turn around because somebody feels that way. If Josh Jacobs leaves, I'm going to root for him to do good for another team until he plays the Raiders. And then I hope he does nothing but negative yards.
Yeah.
But if he went to, let's say, the Cowboys, I hope he's going to do good. He was a Raider. He was drafted by the Raiders.
Yeah, he got a Raider tattoo.
He got a Raider tattoo. I'm not going to sit there and say because somebody's, sticking with the Josh Jacobs. Me and Raider Man have complete different ideologies about Josh Jacobs. Did I tell him he was wrong? Did I tell him, did I say he's not a real Raiders fan because he thinks differently than I do? No, he has every right to his opinion. He loves Josh Jacobs and more power to it. Josh Jacobs has earned that with some people. For me, and what we were talking about, it was I had to put a GM hat on. I was speaking the facts that I see for the season. To me, he played like a selfish player. And this is a team sport. That's my opinion, which is my right to have, but doesn't make me any less than a Raiders fan than somebody else just because I was 17 years season ticket holder. I went to London to watch them play in 2014. I spent a lot of money on this team. I follow this team, through thick and thin. Like you said, I went through the 2-14 seasons, went to every home game, and I think I saw a total of 5 wins at home, during those times. But that doesn't make me any less than a Raider fan than somebody who goes to one game every 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm not any better. I'm not going to turn around and say, well, you're not a real Raiders fan. You didn't do all the shit that I did. I was blessed to be able to do what I did and have a wife who, even when I thought we had to give up my season tickets, did everything she could to make sure we kept the tickets. I was blessed to be able to do it for 17 years. I was blessed that my wife was okay with the ultimatum I gave her when I went to London. Not everybody gets those opportunities. That was not a cheap trip. I was blessed to be able to do that. But because people can't do it, I don't say they're less of a fan. I'm not going to question anybody's fandom for the team. And to call, like we're talking about, the thing that gets under the skin the most is when somebody says, oh, you don't agree with me, so you're not a real Raider fan. And that's basically what Lombardi was doing with AP. I get why Hondo came out and called him out. I mean, trust me, I have no problem starting beef. I would love to be able to call out this person and bring him on the show and explain. I want to know whether these other people have any right. Was there a vote? Was there something that I missed that gave them the power to say you're part of Raider Nation or say you're a real Raiders fan or not? I mean, I've got a bunch of Raiders tattoos. I've tattooed Al Davis and John Madden to my throat. Just because somebody else didn't do it, I'm not going to turn around and say, I know people who have tattoos and not a single Raiders tattoo, but, they're a diehard fan. Like you said, the tailgate. I mean, when I said this with Raider Man, when I penned a letter to an email to Black Hole Rob, I got choked up because, that's when it finally hit me. I ain't doing that shit no more. That was the final game. There is no more Oakland. There is no more Oakland Raiders. And it was all the memories I had over those 17 years of the people I spent, I went to church with, as I've always called it.
Yep.
That was Mecca. I moved to Kansas and my ass was flying out there to games. But that don't make me any better, any less, any more of a fan than Joe Schmo out there who's wearing his Raiders hat supporting the fucking team. Just because his opinion is different does not mean that you got the right to say you're not a real Raiders fan. Just because somebody likes Carr and you don't, or vice versa, don't mean, you're better than them. They're not a real Raiders fan. I know people who don't like Carr, who don't like Jacobs, who all this shit, but been Raiders fans since the fucking 60s. We know people who know more about Raiders history than we've forgotten.
Raider Mort.
Mort, Raider Mort. I mean, he's the Raiders encyclopedia. He'll give you dates, times, and exactly what fucking went down. But just because somebody else doesn't know that, they became a fan in the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s, don't make them any less of a Raiders fan than Mort. Mort has an actual Super Bowl ring from the fucking Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just, now I'm getting all hyped up again. That's just one thing that freaking I hate, like I said, for that person who turned around and said what he said, I could care less. Yeah, you lose subscribers, you give a flying fuck. I'm with you on that. I swear on this, I give a fuck. Some people, be like, oh, that's tacky. That's your opinion. This is who I am. If I can't be me, then I don't want to be able to do a show. I can't sit there and try to hold back when going. But that doesn't make me any, it goes any less or anything more. But to turn around and say, you're rooting for Derek Carr to do good, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, obviously you don't like Derek Carr. So don't talk about Derek Carr. But because I root for him to do good with the Saints, don't make me less of a fucking Raider fan. And I guarantee that person ain't no fucking 17-year season ticket holder. They get fucking, I basically got priced out of being able to go in Vegas.
Yeah.
I went to London. I would have gone to Mexico, but something came up. I followed this team, and when I went to London, my whole plan was just to go to the game. There was none of the other shit. And then other things came up, and it worked out and went. But I was there for the Raiders.
Yeah.
I didn't take my family. I didn't do this. I went with my best friend. Bought plane tickets, got the hotel, and we fucking, first time I ever left the country. And it was to go fucking follow the Raiders. But that don't mean, like I say, that don't mean I'm going to call somebody else, oh, you're not a real Raiders fan. You can't be a real Raiders fan.
I'm going to give you an example of someone who's a real Raiders fan. Okay. My godmother in Vegas, her husband started learning the game of football. Started learning the game, the history of the Raiders. But he's a big Raider fan. All he wears is silver and black. All he wears is a Raiders shirt, Raider hat, whatever. Every time he sees the Raiders, he tries to go to any kind of game he can to out there at the stadium, in Allegiant Stadium. He's a Raider fan. I'm going to tell you what a real Raider fan is, okay? When it doesn't matter on TV, when you see them silver helmets with the black shield on the side and the black line through the helmet, when you see those jerseys and you get fired up, you get something inside you, your stomach, like them butterflies of excitement comes in you. You are a real Raider fan. If all you can talk about is just Raiders, you don't even need to know their history. If you're like, oh man, I just can't wait for this season. I can't wait for whoever quarter, like if all you think about is Raider football, you're a Raider fan. If just being around, like when I pass the Coliseum, when I drive past the Coliseum on 880 up in Oakland over here, and all I do is just remember the memories. If I go to an A's game and I go inside that stadium and all I do is think about yelling Raiders down the hallways and seeing if anybody else comes out and be like, Raiders, back to me, even if it's an A's game with like 112 people, and I'm over there and I can see the old games that I attended, the game where we had to score like 4 touchdowns to beat the 4 touchdowns with no time left on that Thursday game to beat the Chiefs. I remember that game, that night game. Like I went to many. I was up in Mount Davis and I saw the Raiders beat the Titans to go to the Super Bowl. I still have the ticket stub on my wall in the living room from that game. You are a Raider fan. If you get mad at other teams who talk bad about Raiders and they piss you off, you're a Raider fan. But I cannot accept
any other team say their team name and nation, and you sit there and correct them by saying there's only one nation, and that's Raider Nation. You're a fan.
Yes. Rob Howard of Raider Fan Radio. Now, he's the one that started the term Raider Nation. He used to always call in to the Ticket 1050, I think it was the Ron and Don show, Ticket 1050, back in the early years when the Raiders came back to Oakland in 95. He started that phrase. He didn't get a chance to trademark it, but he started that. Now, he called it Raider Nation because the Raiders is not just Oakland Raiders, because you have the LA Raiders. And then you have the Raider fans that ventured out all the way to the East Coast. You have a Raider fan in England over there. Raider Nation is global. Silver and Black is global. And for somebody who claims to be a Raider fan, people who claim to be Raider fans and tell other Raider fans that you're not a Raider fan because you don't follow what I say, because I got a podcast and I can say what I want to say. Okay, the podcast that I used to be on a couple years back, I stopped being on that because it was too negative. It's like these people that want to call you a non-Raider fan, they do it because they want you to watch. It's basically 2 hours of clickbait. See, we do this show. Yeah, right now I see that we have 10 viewers watching on what we have. We don't know what else, on the other channels the other pages that we shared it on. But for the 10 that we see on this app right here on StreamYard, we're not doing it for the views. We're not doing it for that. We're doing this for fun because we want to continue talking about Raiders going into the off season, because that's passion. If you have passion for the Raiders, you are a Raider fan. All these people, you know what? I'm not gonna hold back, okay?
No, I was gonna say when you're done, I'm gonna make my call out. I'm gonna call his ass out.
You got people. First of all, you got people, and I know a lot of people probably hate going on Facebook and seeing these other Raider pages and they're trolls. They're trolls. They're trolls that just want to get reactions. And that's what a lot of these people on Facebook are. And the podcast that I used to be on, I hope they're watching. The For Life. Now, not everyone on there, okay? I like Omar. I respect Omar. Omar, he's a Raider fan. He opened his house to us, whatever. And I love Omar. Omar is cool. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I like Omar. But other people on there, calling out people for, oh, you're a Derek Carr fan? You're not a real Raider fan. I'm sorry, but Thor, you can't call out other people and say they're not Raider fans. You talked all this mess about Las Vegas, and you end up moving over there. Yeah, I'm a diehard Oakland. I'm an A's fan. I'm a Raider fan. I'm a Warrior fan.
Me too.
All from the Coliseum parking lot. All right there. Catwalk across the BART train. But you don't have no right to tell people who are Raider fans. Okay? Other people out there, they just want to say negative things because they want you to watch. That's what it is. I'm sorry.
Or get people to call in or do other shit like mine. I'm going to say Graphic, right? That's who I'm calling out. That's who said this shit. Graphic. You tell me why I'm not a real Raiders fan. You come on this show here and tell me, first of all, who voted you to be in charge of who's a real Raiders fan or not. And second of all, tell me how I'm not a real Raiders fan. Come on the show. I'll go on your goddamn show and we can do this. I don't care. I've been stewing on this. He did this at the beginning of the fucking season, and I've been stewing on it. You can hear your ass savage. I've been stewing on this shit all fucking year. You know, I heard that, and you know, I thought I would refuse to watch his shit because I'm not going to give into that clickbait. Mitchell Rance is another one who likes to do clickbait. You see all his titles, and then go, and then he talks about trading Max Crosby or shit like that. You know what? I get content, whatever. You know, you're allowed to do whatever the hell you want. You're allowed to say whatever you want. It's your show. But when you sit there and question somebody's fandom, that's where I draw the fucking line. And like I said, apparently this is going to be a call-out show since it's all happening this week. Yeah, I'll call out Graphic.
Yeah,
you know,
and
I hope somebody knows him. Get this to him. I want, you know, explain it to me.
Yeah,
you know, step up to what you said. And explain to me how everything I've done does not make me a fucking real Raider fan because I root for Derek Carr to do good with the Saints.
And you have people that, and I'm not going to call these people out because I just feel like their intention is lost. I'm not going to question their fandom, but there are people out there that want you to look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's not about you. The fans are part of the team are part of the fans. It's about the shield. It's about the shield. Okay? We push the team helps us. It's like a cycle. And
it's a symbiosis.
Yes. I don't know what that is, but yes. Using big words right now, okay?
we need each other to live. It's like, you know, symbiosis, venom, you know, the symbiote.
Yeah.
You know, the Raiders ain't nothing without the fans, and we're nothing without the team.
And you know, and I'm gonna shout out people like the you know, like Big Tone and Kevin for putting up the explosion events, because they're trying to you know, bring back that tailgate feeling, having everyone come together. You know, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. He's doing the he's gonna kill me too for forgetting his name right now, because I'm in the heat of passion right now. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about. He's having an event coming up soon.
Lorenzo Lerma?
Yeah, Lorenzo. I swear, I'm sorry, Lorenzo, but the Lorenzo Lermas, you know, who are trying to put things together to get to bring back that tailgate, you know, bring everyone back together. So I shout them out for doing that. You know, and
I hope you're fucking joking, D Nice, because you know what? I'll go toe to toe with you too.
Well, you're not a real fan and he has done nothing for the Raiders. See, and that's what we're talking about. You know, you can't tell someone that they're not a real fan because you don't agree with who they root for. You can't do that. And if that's the case, then you can't play fantasy football because you're rooting for other players out there. So it's a double standard if you go that way. Okay? When Tim Brown went to the Buccaneers, I went to that game when Tim Brown came back to Oakland and he scored his 100th touchdown in Oakland. I stood up and I cheered. Because he spent, what was it, like 17 seasons with the Raiders, and he had that one last season with the Buccaneers, but he scored his 100th touchdown with the in an Oakland end zone. I rooted for Tim Brown because I was there with him.
Really 2.0.
Hey, we're gonna get trolls, and that's how it's going to go.
No, I get it. I want you calling me Wi-Fi Willie 2.0? Listen to the beginning part of this shit before you start opening your fucking mouth.
So, Um, see, you just don't get it. You just don't get it.
No, you don't
It's
get it.
different
We're not
eras.
comparing Tim Brown to Derek Carr.
Because there are people that if he's wearing a different jersey, I'm not rooting for him. I don't care if it's so and so. That they were people against Ken Stabler when he went to go to the Saints. Now I know the Raiders play. I mean, yeah,
or
the Saints,
or the
or when he
Texans.
went to go to the
Or the Oilers.
the Oilers. And I know we played against him. And I know we played against him in the playoffs, and I get that. I get that. But these guys gave up blood, sweat, and tears in that silver and black uniform. Once a Raider, always a Raider. Only, except for the ones that disrespected the shield. Jamarcus Russell, Randy Moss, even Warren Sapp. Now Warren Sapp was humbled, and he appreciates that he was a part of an iconic team, and he appreciates playing under Al Davis. But back then, he didn't appreciate, what he was a part of. These guys, AB,
Antonio Brown, yep. That's
so Antonio Brown. So and even Trent Brown that we showed earlier on the free agent, he gave up. I was a fan of Gruden when it came back because I said, okay, maybe Gruden can bring us back to what we had in the early 2000s. He didn't get a chance to finish that. He was building something, and the NFL came in, and they were able to push him out over a decade-old emails. And I know they were offensive and everything, and I get that. But, come on, NFL. Every Raider fan knows.
He wasn't even working for the NFL at that time. He was working for ESPN. When he sent those emails. Yes, offensive. Were they right? No. Did he admit that they were wrong to right? Yes, he did.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, and you know what, D-Nice, I'm not even going to question that's how you feel. That is your opinion. I'm not going to question your fandom because you feel a certain way. I'm not going to question you. I'm not. If you bleed silver and black, if you go to the games and you get fired up and you get pissed off when we lose, but you come back and every season you say we're going 16-0, 17-0. They're going to try to go to 18 games, 18-0. Blind faith, I don't care. Then you're a Raider fan. But calling out people because of a player they believed in, calling out people for a player or players or coaches or whatever that we respected, for going out there and trying to win games. We had terrible coaches. We had terrible defenses. We had terrible teams. For 20 years.
Yep.
It is what it is. It's not easy being a Raider fan. Every other team has had their shot. They got into the playoffs. They got deep in the playoffs. We almost beat the Bengals. And I know almost don't count. As Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. And but I mean, it is what it is. So you can feel how you feel. It is what it is. On this show, if it is a smart opinion, that's all we care about. Back it up. We don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with us. That's what's about the show. We're not going to attack you for feeling a certain way.
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and just because yours is different than mine, don't mean I'm gonna fucking, treat you like shit or treat you different just because we don't agree.
Yes. And that's all. That's one thing that we wanted to say on the show for a long time, because we were tired of just seeing it. It doesn't matter if you know the history. I know the history. I know the history of the Raiders. But if you're learning the Raiders, a lot of the Las Vegas, people in Las Vegas who are first time, introduced to football, it's in your city now, and they buy a Raider jersey, they buy a Raider hat. That's how it starts.
Yep.
You know, I'm not going to question you. Just know, just the one thing to remember is when I see you on the street and I hear Raiders, I said, what's up, you know, because you got that jersey, understand, hey, give it back. What's up? Hey, Raider Nation, da-da-da. I don't know your name. I don't know who you are, but hey, we're a brotherhood, brother, sister, whatever.
Hey, we're family because of the shield.
Yes.
Right here.
Yes.
You know, we're family just because of that. You wearing yours, I'm wearing mine. We're going to acknowledge each other. Yeah. If you hear somebody yelling Raiders, you yell it back. That's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all, you know, because we can go all day with this. But that's all I wanted to say. That's all we wanted to say. If they want to come on the show, hey, come on the show. And it's not about how much you know about the Raiders. It's not about, you know, how many names and you know, memories or moments that you can name off the top of your head. It's not what it's about. If you have that, hey.
That's part of the reason why we do this show, is we want to help educate the newer fans about our history when we can, as well as talk about the current events and current players and shit like that. We throw a lot of history out there, as much as we can, because we want to help teach these newer fans what it is to be, what it was like to be in Oakland. If you've never been to Oakland to a Raider game, you don't know what you missed. You know, I mean, but we gladly love to have you live it vicariously through us.
Yes.
You know, and that's something that can be brought to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
All we're trying to do is teach you. I mean, that's the biggest thing. One of the reasons we do it for fun. You know, we get the view, we get whatever views we get. We made it clear when we started this shit. We don't care if we got 10 people on, one person on, nobody watching while we're doing this. We want people to be able to be at work listening to this, doing all that stuff. We want people to, you know, hopefully enjoy what we put out there as much as we enjoy doing this. This takes a lot of time. We both work full-time jobs and still do this for our love for the Raiders, because we want to share our love of our team with everybody else out there who loves who loves this team as much as we do.
Yeah.
And we sure the hell ain't going to turn around and say somebody's not a real Raiders fan because they don't agree with something that we said.
Yeah. And that's all that we want to say about that. Because like I said, we can go on. Oh, you
sorry. You do it.
Okay, there we go. Because, like I said, doesn't matter. You can hate a player, you can love a player, but if you have the passion, if you have that fire, when you talk about Raider football, Raider Nation, you know, seeing old friends and old family members or whatever at a game, at a tailgate, all wearing black and silver, silver and black, Raider jerseys, you know, the ones that gear up.
Like us, yeah. I mean, and just because we do, don't make us any better than anybody else. Yes. I mean, there's some people who dress up, gear up for selfish reasons, and that's their reasons. I don't say anything, you know, I'm not going to call them out, say anything less. They have their reasons. You and me, we do it for other people. We do it so other people could have an experience. I remember when I was going, before I dressed up, and the experience of seeing somebody who dressed up, taking pictures with them, talking with them, just having that, that experience. Then what do? You go home. Oh my God, I met so-and-so. He dresses up like this. Or I finally got to meet so-and-so who I've seen other people, I've seen on Facebook, this, that, and I finally got to meet them and take a picture. I mean, they're still super fans, and I hate that term, that when I see, I'm going to go get a picture because it's goddamn, I need to go get a picture. I've always been wanting to get a picture with him. It took me 10 years, damn near 10 years to get a picture with Captain Jack. Because just the way things always went. And I finally got it at the draft last year. But it was one of those, I was in a situation and it was, I'm not missing out on this, and got the picture. But that's the thing. It was that experience of being able to meet him in person, talk to him. We've done shows with Captain, you know, and everything, and we support Captain, you know, in his endeavors with his podcast and shit. But in the end, it was that experience. I got to meet him at the draft, so you know, it made it that much better, and that's why we do what we do with the whole dressing up.
Yes.
You know,
I did it just. I did it just to have fun, and you know, it was a big hit, but my focus was on the Raiders. I've done events where I forget that I'm dressed up, and I remember that a Raider game was on, and I'm supposed to be doing like my super fan responsibilities, and I'm like, hold on, wait till commercial. Well, do that. Just wait till commercial, because that's what my focus is. When that ball is snapped and the Raiders are on either side of that line of scrimmage, I'm focused on that game, that moment, at that time. That's what a Raider fan is. I will not question anyone's fandom because we don't all agree. We're not going to always agree. You're not going to always agree with family members. You're not going to always agree with your closest friends. You're not going to always agree. But I can respect your opinion if you can respect mine. And if you don't, then hey, whatever. But can't question someone's fandom because they don't feel or think the same way you do. And I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna let it go on that. Asylum, do you want to add anything else to that?
No, I think if I start talking again, we're going to go fucking another 45 minutes to an hour. You know, I mean, we had some proof of what we were talking about just in the chats, you know, and, you know, just because you have a legitimate page doesn't mean you're not a troll. When you do shit just to fucking try to get, you know, on shows, get your shit going. I mean, you have your opinion. You have your way of feeling about Carr, and, you know, I can respect that. I have my way, and, you know, if you can't respect that, then, you know, tough titties, and I can move on. We still have a platform. We still have a show that we're doing, and that's all I got to say on that. We got a show. We got people, you know, who watch us for whatever reasons. We're not just in comments trying to fucking get our comments put out there. We're saying it to the people live. And that's why I felt like I needed to not hide behind not saying the name and call out who I called out. Because, you know, fuck it. I got nothing to hide. It's bothered me. It's bothered me long enough, and now I got it off my chest. It's out there, you know, on the interwebs, and if it gets to them, let's do this. If not, oh fucking well. And if you don't want to do it, more power to them. It is what it is.
Yeah. And like I said, we didn't do this for views. Or if we lose a viewer, hey, we lose a viewer. It is what it is. There's a lot of podcasts out there that can suit the way you feel, the way you think. It is what it is. Like I said, we just don't like when other Raider fans are being called out and questioned because we didn't agree. This show was made for people to have different opinions.
Yep.
You know, like a regular tailgate. Oh man, I love this player. Man, whatever, this and that with that player. It is what it is. You know. But what you do is you agree to disagree. You open up a can of beer, take a shot of whatever it is that's out there, and hey, it is what it is. That's how you feel. That's how we feel. It is what it is. That's how you feel. That's how I feel.
But in the end, but I was gonna say, in the end, we're all Raiders fans.
Yes,
we're all Raiders fans. You think one way, I think another way. But in the end, we're both going into that stadium to root for the same fucking team and hope for the fucking win.
Yeah, and I feel like that is what's lost. Like we all want the same thing. We all want to win on Sundays. We all want to go deep in the playoffs, and we all want to see our team hoist that Lombardi trophy at the end of after it's all said and done. We all want the same thing. And if you're a Raider fan and you want every year we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. You're a Raider fan. I'm gonna rock with you.
If you start the year off saying we're going undefeated, 17-0, you a Raiders fan, because that's what we all do. Until the game starts getting played, we all believe that fucking same thing.
And if you was there yelling at the TV saying, Mark Davis, why don't you fire McDaniels? Hey, we were all there. We were all there saying the same thing.
If you were the few that were out there wanting to keep McDaniels, that's your opinion. You have the reasons why you wanted it.
Yeah.
If you thought McDaniels didn't have enough time and needed more time and could have turned this around and taken us to a Super Bowl, that's your opinion. And you know what? I can respect that. You throw out your info. I disagree with it, but that's just my opinion and how I saw things. And I think we're better off without him. And I guess time will tell on that one now. But I'm not going to fucking turn around and diminish anything you have to say just because it's different than what I said, just because you wanted to keep him.
And if you felt that Harbaugh was a better, Harbaugh should have been hired over AP or anybody else. Hey, I get it. I understand. I understand
it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can understand it. Harbaugh had the pedigree.
Yeah, and like we always do, this is the NFL. We consume this. Raider football, we consume this. It could be a disease. Maybe we all have CTE, being Raiders fans. But you know what? We're doing it together. Okay? We're doing it together. And that's what I want. That's what we want to remind everybody is we're all in the same ship. Pillaging just for fun. Okay? We own 3 cities. Oakland, LA, and now Las Vegas. We're trying to make a name, make a fan base, a home field advantage.
We're trying to be the first team to win a Super Bowl in 3 different cities.
Yes, being in 3 different cities. We have 2 Super Bowls under Oakland, 11 and 15, and we got 1 Super Bowl 18 as the LA Raiders. We were close coming back to Oakland. Super Bowl 37, we were close. But, hey, until we got there, we all know what happened.
We got there. I don't know if we were close, but
well, yeah. I know it was a blowout, but I'm just saying is we almost had it. We almost had it until we got tuck ruled. We almost had it until we had Shannon Sharp run for 88 yards on that touchdown pass.
We would have had it if it wasn't for that tuck rule.
Yeah. So that's all we're saying. Let's get off the subject. Let's end the show because we're now 2:17 into this show. With that said, we're all Raider Nation. Okay? We all want the same thing. Just win, baby. That's all I'm going to say.
Much love and respect to everybody out there in the Raider Nation.
Yeah, everybody in the chat line except for, where'd he go?
Douglas Sinclair.
Douglas Sinclair, who's an undercover Raider fan, but claims to be a Niner fan. There you go, Douglas. You got your shout out. All right, with that said, anything else, Asylum? Any last comments, words, confessions, convictions, conundrums?
We talked about teaching. We're going to start teaching right here. This is how it goes. Raiders.
All right, everybody. Thank you. We had a lot of people jump in towards the end of the show. In the viewers over here.
And the comments.
Oh yeah, and the comments, got a little fired over there, got a little fired up towards the end. But with that, we say good night. And next episode, free agent frenzy. The new year, the start of the new league year, 2024. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy League New Year, everybody. And with that said, I am the Oakland Raider Savage. We have Asylum. We end every show like we always do with the word from Raider Milt, Coach Wallace, rest in peace, one of Raider Nation's diehard fans back in Oakland. So with that, everyone, good night. We'll see you next week. where we talk about who the Raiders signed, who the Raiders couldn't keep, and who the Raiders should have signed as free agent frenzy starts on March 11th on Monday. We'll come back on that Wednesday, the 13th, to talk about it. All right, everybody, good night. Have a
Good night.
Whatever, and yes, there you go. Raiders!
Raiders!
All you other NFL teams, your tailgates are weak. Your teams are weak. We might be down right now, but it doesn't take away the history. And all you Raiders out there need to know your fucking history of who the fuck you playing for and where the fuck you're playing. Damn it. Oh, and by the way, I won my last cage fight. Again, I'm still undefeated. And you NFL motherfuckers out there that you think you want some, come on and get some anytime.